From the moment she was born, Zsa Zsa Gabor seemed destined for a life unlike any other, a dazzling, unpredictable whirlwind that would sweep across continents and captivate the world. Born Zsa Gabor on February 6, 1917, in Budapest, Hungary, she came from a family steeped in wealth, culture, and aristocratic charm. The Gabor family wasn't just affluent, they were Hungarian high society, living in a grand villa, surrounded by luxury and tradition. But the world around them was anything but stable. The First World War had just ended, and the continent was reshaping itself in chaos. Hungary was a nation struggling for identity, and the Gabor family was caught in the crossfire of history. Zsa Zsa, along with her sisters Eva and Magda, were raised with the kind of refinement that only old Europe could offer, learning French, horseback riding, and attending the finest schools. Yet there was always a spark in Zsa Zsa's eyes, a restless hunger for something bigger than the gilded cage of aristocracy. Her parents, Jolie and Vilmos Gabor, ensured the girls were given the best opportunities. Eva, the youngest sister, was bright and sweet-natured, destined for a quieter fame. Magda, often overlooked, was elegant but kept mostly out of the spotlight. And then there was Zsa Zsa, fiercely independent, quick-witted, and never afraid to take center stage. As Europe lurched toward another devastating war, the Gabors knew their safety and future lay far beyond Hungary's borders. By the late 1930s, the family began their gradual escape from a continent on fire. Zsa Zsa arrived in the United States, a world away from Budapest's aristocratic salons, armed with nothing but her accent, her charm, and a burning ambition. In America, Zsa Zsa quickly realized that Hollywood was a different kind of kingdom, one built not on lineage, but on image, personality, and the magic of reinvention. It was here that her older European sophistication would clash with the raw, booming optimism of Los Angeles, setting the stage for a reinvention unlike any other. And while Zsa Zsa was busy crafting her sparkling public persona, her sister Eva was quietly making her own way in the acting world, eventually becoming beloved for her role in Greenacre's The Sweet Gabor Sister, to Zsa Zsa's more tempestuous, headline-grabbing persona. This was the beginning of a complex family dynamic, two sisters forever linked by blood and fame, but destined for very different kinds of stardom. When Zsa Zsa Gabor first arrived in Hollywood, the city was a whirlwind of stars, studios, and relentless ambition. The late 1930s and early 1940s marked a golden era of cinema, but it was also a time when Hollywood was fiercely competitive, and many newcomers found themselves swallowed whole if they weren't prepared to play the game perfectly. For Zsa Zsa, a Hungarian aristocrat with an accent as thick as the fog over the Danube, the challenge was not just acting, it was redefining herself in a world that didn't quite know what to do with someone like her. At first, Zsa Zsa's screen appearances were modest, often uncredited, as she took what roles she could get. Hollywood was not yet ready to cast a Hungarian-born woman as a lead, especially one who spoke English with a pronounced accent. Yet Zsa Zsa's charm was undeniable, and even in these small parts, her magnetic screen presence could not be ignored. But it was off-screen that she truly shone, quickly becoming a darling of Hollywood's social scene. Unlike many actresses who tried desperately to blend in or reinvent themselves as all-American girls, Zsa Zsa held tight to her European roots, turning her accent and old-world mannerisms into assets rather than liabilities. She was glamorous, sophisticated, and most importantly, unapologetically herself, an aura that Hollywood couldn't manufacture but eagerly consumed. Her nights were spent at lavish parties in the homes of studio executives and influential socialites, where her wit and sparkling personality made her the life of every gathering. She was quick with a joke, a sharp comeback, and stories from her life in Europe that seemed both exotic and thrilling to her American counterparts. But beneath the sparkle was a savvy woman who knew exactly how to use charm and conversation to climb the social ladder. Zsa Zsa's rise wasn't just about charisma, it was also about survival. Hollywood was a world of gossip, betrayal, and backstabbing. For every starlet celebrated, there were dozens forgotten or discarded. Zsa Zsa learned early that to survive and thrive, you needed to control your narrative. If Hollywood wanted to write rumors or scandal, she would write it first, on her own terms. One of the most fascinating elements of this era was the contrast and connection with her sister Eva. While Zsa Zsa dazzled with her boldness and flamboyance, Eva Gabor pursued a more traditional path. She studied acting, Working her way through theater productions before finding her big break on television with Green Acres in the 1960s, a gentle, down-to-earth character that captured the hearts of America. Eva's path to fame was steadier, less sensational, but no less impressive. She was known for her grace and warmth, traits that made her beloved in a different way than Zsa Zsa. The sisters' relationship was complicated with moments of rivalry, but also deep affection. In public, Zsa Zsa's glamorous persona often outshone Eva's quieter success, but behind closed doors, they shared an unbreakable bond born from the shared immigrant story and family history. Their contrasting careers highlighted the duality of Hollywood itself, the public craving for glamour and scandal, balanced by a quieter desire for genuine talent and connection. Zsa Zsa played the part of the glamorous icon perfectly, but it was the combination of her and Eva's careers that made the Gabors one of Hollywood's most fascinating families. During this time, Zsa Zsa also began to realize that her power wasn't limited to acting. Her knack for generating headlines became her real currency. From statements about luxury, love, and life that were as quotable as any script, to her publicized romances and flamboyant lifestyle, Zsa Zsa became a staple of Hollywood gossip columns. Despite her glamorous image, Zsa Zsa's personal life was anything but perfect. The pressures of maintaining her persona, navigating Hollywood's treacherous social waters, and dealing with the challenges of being a woman in a male-dominated industry weighed heavily on her. Yet she never let those struggles show. Instead, she turned every obstacle into part of the story she told the world. Her early years in Hollywood were marked by a relentless reinvention. Every new party, every new public appearance was another chance to create the legend of Zsa Zsa Gabor, a woman who was both a princess from a faraway land and a savvy modern starlet who knew exactly how to make the cameras love her. As the years passed, her reputation as a glamorous socialite grew, overshadowing her modest acting roles. Zsa Zsa was less about the movies she made and more about the life she lived, the lavish lifestyle, the quick wit, and the headlines that followed her wherever she went. Yet even with all this glitz, there was a complexity to Zsa Zsa that few understood. Behind the diamonds and the diva acts was a woman shaped by exile, ambition, and the constant struggle to belong in a country far from home. And through it all, the connection with her sister Eva remained a grounding force, a reminder of where she came from, and the family ties that no amount of Hollywood glamour could erase. If Hollywood was a stage, then Zsa Zsa Gabor was its most dazzling and unpredictable leading lady both on and off the screen. But behind the carefully curated image of glitz and glam lay a complicated love life that would captivate the public and scandalize the tabloids for decades. Zsa Zsa's marriages weren't just personal chapters. They were headline-making dramas that reflected her larger-than-life persona and relentless quest for happiness, though often at a steep price. Her love story began long before Hollywood fully embraced her. Zsa Zsa's first marriage was to Burhan Asaf Belge, a Turkish diplomat, when she was just 17 years old. It was an arranged marriage, a decision that reflected the old-world traditions of her upbringing rather than the wild spirit she would become. Though the union was short-lived, ending in divorce after 2 years, it marked the beginning of a lifelong pattern. Zsa Zsa married for love, for convenience, for escape, but never for security. After coming to America, Zsa Zsa's romances became increasingly public and increasingly complicated. Each husband brought a new chapter filled with passion, betrayal, and headline-grabbing conflict. She married 9 times in total, a record that both fascinated and scandalized society. But each marriage was more than just a union. It was a performance, an expression of Zsa Zsa's indomitable will to live life on her terms. Take her marriage to hotel magnate Conrad Hilton, for example. When they met in the late 1940s, it was Hollywood's ultimate power couple story. Hilton was wealthy, charming, and perfectly suited to the glamorous life Zsa Zsa craved. Their lavish lifestyle, filled with international travel and opulent parties, made them the subject of endless gossip columns. Yet beneath the surface, the marriage was strained by conflicts over control and independence. Hilton's business-driven pragmatism clashed with Zsa Zsa's desire for drama and attention. They divorced after just 3 years, but the impact of this high-profile union lingered, cementing Zsa Zsa's image as a woman who married not just for love, but for power and social standing. Her later marriages, like those to actor George Sanders and plastic surgeon Michael O'Hara, each carried their own stories of glamour and heartbreak. With Sanders, the marriage was tempestuous, fueled by both passion and addiction struggles. They divorced amid bitter public arguments, further fueling the media's fascination with Zsa Zsa's tumultuous love life. Her marriage to O'Hara, meanwhile, was marked by a controversial custody battle and personal turmoil that revealed cracks in her public facade. What made these relationships so captivating and tragic was how they mirrored Zsa Zsa's inner struggles. She craved love and stability, but often found herself trapped in cycles of drama and disappointment. The constant media attention amplified every fight, every scandal, turning her personal life into a never-ending soap opera. Yet, despite the chaos, Zsa Zsa never lost her flair for turning scandal into spectacle. Whether it was a heated courtroom battle, a dramatic public breakup, or a flamboyant public statement, she knew how to command attention. Her famous quips, both biting and self-deprecating, became part of her charm, helping her stay relevant in a rapidly changing entertainment world. Throughout all this, the shadow of family loomed large. Her relationship with sister Eva was a complicated mix of support, competition, and occasional estrangement. Eva often played the good sister, with a steadier career and less scandal, but she was never far from the whirlwind that was Zsa Zsa. Their bond was tested by years of contrasting lifestyles, yet beneath the glamour and gossip lay a deep familial loyalty. In this chapter of her life, Zsa Zsa Gabor was more than a Hollywood starlet. She was a symbol of excess and survival. Each marriage was a gamble, each scandal a calculated risk in the game of fame. And through it all, she remained fiercely unapologetic, embracing the chaos with the poise of a true diva. But the tale of Zsa Zsa's marriages is not just a litany of glamorous weddings and headline-grabbing divorces. It's a window into the relentless pressures of fame, the fragile quest for love beneath the spotlight, and the cost of living a life so public it left little room for private healing. Consider her marriage to George Sanders a relationship that burned bright but ended in bitter ashes. Sanders was a talented actor himself, known for his suave, sardonic charm. On paper, they seemed perfect for each other, two starlets navigating Hollywood's treacherous waters. But behind closed doors, their dynamic was far more complex. Both struggled with insecurities and addictions that strained their bond. Their marriage was fraught with jealousy, emotional turmoil, and relentless gossip that only fanned the flames. When they finally split, the public spectacle was relentless. George Sanders later tragically took his own life, adding a haunting layer of sorrow to their shared history, one that cast a shadow over Zsa Zsa's narrative for years. Her subsequent marriages seemed to follow a similar script, full of passion, excitement, and inevitable collapse. Take Michael O'Hara, her plastic surgeon husband. Their relationship was a stark departure from the usual celebrity romance, blending the personal with the professional. O'Hara was both her partner and her physician, entrusted with preserving the beauty that was central to Zsa Zsa's identity. Yet even this marriage was marred by turmoil. Their divorce ignited a contentious custody battle over their daughter Francesca, exposing painful fissures in Zsa Zsa's personal life that tabloids mercilessly exploited. Behind the glitz and charm, Zsa Zsa was grappling with the very real struggles of motherhood, custody, and public scrutiny. This pattern of love and loss, public fascination, and private pain defined much of Zsa Zsa's life. She seemed caught in a whirlwind where every relationship was not only about passion, but also about survival in a world that demanded perfection and punished vulnerability. The glare of the cameras left no room for mistakes or weaknesses. And so, the cycle of marriage, scandal, and reinvention continued. What made Zsa Zsa's story truly compelling was how she embraced her reputation as a glamorous diva with equal parts defiance and humor. Her witty one-liners became legendary, sharp, self-aware, and often hilarious. When asked about her many marriages, she famously quipped, "I've been married 7 times, and I'd do it again just to prove I'm not a failure." It was this ability to laugh at herself that endeared her to fans, even as critics dismissed her as merely a socialite clinging to fame. Yet, beneath the glitz and the quips lay a woman with deep desires for genuine connection. Her tumultuous love life was a mirror of a restless spirit, someone who refused to settle for anything less than extraordinary. She pursued love with the same intensity she pursued fame, sometimes recklessly, sometimes brilliantly, but always with an unmistakable flair. Meanwhile, the presence of her sister Eva Gabor loomed in the background, always a contrasting figure of grace and steadiness. Ava's more conventional Hollywood career and reputation as the good sister often highlighted Zsa Zsa's wild, unpredictable nature. Their relationship was a blend of rivalry, camaraderie, and family loyalty. Though they traveled different paths, the bond between the Gabor sisters was unbreakable, a constant amidst the chaos of Zsa Zsa's life. In a way, Zsa Zsa's marriages and scandals were both her armor and her Achilles heel. They kept her in the public eye, fueling her celebrity and financial security, but they also exposed her vulnerabilities. The price of fame was high, and Zsa Zsa paid it with every new headline, every courtroom drama, and every broken heart. By the end of this chapter, it's clear that Zsa Zsa Gabor was a woman who lived out loud, bold, flawed, and unforgettable. She was more than the sum of her marriages or the scandals that followed her. She was a symbol of an era, a living legend who turned life itself into a stage, commanding attention with every entrance and exit. Zsa Zsa Gabor's life was a glittering spectacle, a nonstop parade of elegant gowns, dazzling jewels, and witty one-liners that made her a favorite of Hollywood's golden era and beyond. But behind the sparkling veneer lay a woman wrestling with profound personal struggles that the public rarely saw a story as heartbreaking as it was fascinating. The world knew Zsa Zsa as the ultimate socialite, the queen of the cocktail party, the master of the perfectly timed zinger. But beneath that carefully crafted persona was a woman grappling with loneliness, insecurity, and the relentless pressures of living up to the glamorous image she had built. Her love for the spotlight was matched only by her fear of fading into obscurity. Each scandal, each marriage, each public outburst was a way to assert control over a life that was often chaotic and unpredictable. Zsa Zsa's sharp wit wasn't just for show. It was her defense mechanism against the loneliness that crept in between the flashing cameras and elegant soirees. Despite her fame, Zsa Zsa was no stranger to tragedy. Her health struggles, especially in later years, revealed a frail human beneath the glamour. In 1986, a car accident left her seriously injured, and from then on, she battled numerous health problems, including strokes and infections. Yet even as her body weakened, her spirit remained defiant and unyielding. She refused to be forgotten, continuing to make headlines for her sharp tongue and flamboyant appearances. Her infamous arrest for slapping a Beverly Hills police officer in 1989 perfectly encapsulated her life, dramatic, unpredictable, and unrepentant. Instead of retreating into silence, Zsa Zsa turned the incident into another memorable chapter in her colorful biography. It was a reminder that she was never going to be anyone's quiet wallflower. But behind the humor and headlines was a woman who deeply valued family. Her relationship with her daughter Francesca was complicated but meaningful. Francesca was both a source of pride and pain, as Zsa Zsa's public scandals often cast shadows on their private bond. Yet in those moments away from the cameras, the bond between mother and daughter showed a tenderness that rarely made the headlines. And then there was Ava, her sister, her lifelong companion in the whirlwind world of showbiz. The Gabor sisters' relationship was complex, marked by moments of both rivalry and profound support. Ava's steadiness contrasted sharply with Zsa Zsa's tempestuousness, yet they remained bound by an unbreakable sisterhood that weathered decades of ups and downs. Ava was often Zsa Zsa's anchor, offering a semblance of stability amidst the chaos. Zsa Zsa's later years were a testament to her resilience. Even as the world around her changed and new stars rose to fame, she remained a figure of fascination, a living link to Hollywood's golden age. She became known not just for her beauty and scandals, but for her longevity in an industry that often discards its legends once they age. Her numerous appearances on talk shows, reality TV, and late-night programs were a chance to remind the world that Zsa Zsa Gabor was still very much alive and kicking. Her witty comebacks and unapologetic personality kept audiences entertained, proving that the starlet who had once conquered the silver screen had no intention of fading quietly into the night. But as the years wore on, the price of fame became ever clearer. Health issues mounted, and the loneliness that fame often masked became harder to ignore. Friends and family became her lifelines, providing care and comfort in her final days. In the end, Zsa Zsa Gabor was a study in contradictions, glamorous yet vulnerable, scandalous yet deeply human, celebrated yet often misunderstood. She lived a life that was larger than most, filled with both dazzling highs and devastating lows. And it's that rich, complicated legacy that continues to fascinate and captivate audiences decades after her star first rose. As the curtain began to fall on Zsa Zsa Gabor's remarkable life, the public witnessed a star navigating the twilight years with a mixture of grace, defiance, and a touch of the flamboyance that had defined her career. But even as her health declined and the golden lights dimmed, the story of Zsa Zsa was far from over. It was the final act of a life that had been a continuous performance, sometimes chaotic, often controversial, but always captivating. Her later years were marked by a growing awareness of mortality, but also by a fierce determination to control the narrative of her own story. Despite debilitating strokes and the physical toll of decades in the spotlight, Zsa Zsa remained sharp-witted, refusing to be silenced or forgotten. Interviews from this period show a woman who could laugh at her own missteps, yet who also looked back on her life with a bittersweet mix of pride and regret. The relationship with her daughter Francesca, strained for much of her life, saw moments of reconciliation and tenderness. Francesca, herself a figure caught in the limelight at times, became an important link to Zsa Zsa's humanity beyond the glitz. Through Francesca's eyes, the world glimpsed a mother who, despite her flaws and public scandals, deeply loved her child and sought her approval. Zsa Zsa's friendships, too, were a testament to her magnetic personality. She surrounded herself with loyal companions who stood by her in good times and bad. Yet behind the laughter and lively conversation, there was often a profound loneliness, a cost paid by many who lived their lives under the relentless gaze of fame. Her sister, Eva Gabor, remained a steadfast presence, a grounding force who navigated their complicated relationship with a mixture of sisterly love and protective pragmatism. Eva's passing in 1995 was a heavy blow, stripping away a vital anchor from Zsa Zsa's life. Yet, even in grief, Zsa Zsa's resilience shone through, underscoring the strength that had carried her through decades of public scrutiny and private heartache. Zsa Zsa's final public appearances were a celebration of her indomitable spirit. Whether appearing on talk shows, participating in reality TV, or simply gracing social events with her unmistakable charm, she remained a figure who refused to fade quietly. Her sharp humor, often self-deprecating, reminded the world why she was beloved not just for her beauty, but for her ability to turn life's hardships into a performance that entertained and inspired. When she passed away in December 2016 at the age of 99, the world bid farewell to one of Hollywood's last true legends. Tributes poured in from fans, fellow actors, and cultural commentators, all acknowledging the unique place Zsa Zsa held in entertainment history. Her life was a tapestry woven with threads of glamour, scandal, tragedy, and triumph, a story that continues to fascinate and inspire. Today, Zsa Zsa Gabor's legacy lives on, not only in her films and television appearances, but in the cultural memory of an era when Hollywood was both a dream factory and a harsh spotlight. Her name remains synonymous with elegance and extravagance, but also with resilience and wit. She was a woman who dared to live life on her own terms, embracing both the glitter and the grit. A figure who transformed the challenges of fame into a dazzling performance, captivating audiences across generations. In the end, Zsa Zsa Gabor's story is more than just the tale of a Hollywood starlet. It's a timeless saga of survival, reinvention, and the relentless pursuit of living boldly, no matter the cost. From the dazzling lights of Hollywood's golden age to the tumultuous twists of her private life, Zsa Zsa Gabor's story is one of glamour, scandal, resilience, and unforgettable charm. She was more than a starlet. She was an icon who lived on her own terms, breaking molds and capturing hearts with every witty remark and radiant smile. Her legacy reminds us that beneath every sparkling facade lies a deeply human story, one of triumphs and trials, laughter and loneliness. As we remember Zsa Zsa, we celebrate a woman who refused to fade quietly, who owned every moment of her extraordinary life with boldness and grace. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Hollywood's most captivating socialite, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future stories uncovering the lives behind the legends. Share your thoughts about Zsa Zsa below what surprised you most about her story. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep seeking the stories that shine beyond the silver screen.